unsubscribes are a good thing. So it's the only channel that allows you to unsubscribe. And when anyone unsubscribes, we get upset about it. I love them. And I love them because of what they tell you. So anyone who thinks emotionally about unsubscribing for an email, to me, that's like someone who emotionally thinks about what signal they're giving the advertiser when they walk out of the room when the commercial is on to make a cup of tea. There should be zero emotional attachment to that decision. None at all.
Welcome to Email After Hours by SenderScore, powered by Validity.
We're your hosts. My name is Guy Hansen.
And I'm Danielle Gallant, and this is Email After Hours. Today, we are tackling and questioning some conventional best practices in email marketing. What's the truth behind quality versus quantity? Does the spam folder actually mean doom? And what's most important when it comes to brand recognition in the inbox?
That's right. Joining us, we've got Dela Quist, possibly one of the most outspoken voices in the whole world of email marketing. He spent years studying how mailbox providers interpret signals, how subscribers really behave, and why many brands are optimizing for the wrong outcomes. He is known for challenging conventional wisdom, particularly with his sometimes unapologetic view that sending more email when done correctly can actually build stronger relationships and better long-term performance. He works hard to push marketers to rethink frequency and engagement and what inbox signals really mean. It's going to be fun. Dela, welcome to the show. Let's get into it.
Thank you very much. That was a very kind introduction. Normally I'd say you've done your research, but we've known each other so long. And that you kind of know. And the other thing I wanted to say is nod to our plaids. Today is a plaidcast. I wore this because the last podcast I saw Guy and he was wearing a Christmas jumper that was just unbelievable. So I thought I had to do something about it. Danielle happened to be wearing the same, and Guy took it upon himself to join us. So it's so good to be here, guys. Thank you very much for inviting me.
We're channeling our inner lumberjack because we're going to chop down some email conventions.
Oh, very good.
Now, before we get into the really spicy debates and start chopping, let's warm up with something that, Dela, you said earlier that really stuck with us. You have asked Gemini whether the web would have taken off in the same way without email. What was the answer? Like, how did it respond?
Oh, goodness. Its basic answer was no, it wouldn't have done. I probably should have gone and redone my research because I was in the middle of writing an article when I told you about it. But the point about it is that email is a protocol. And it gave everybody the idea that there is a place where you could find something digitally, okay? And we had already started both in business, large scale, and personally to shift into this digital world. And email made that so. Almost everything, right from the get-go, it holds the place of actual physical mail, okay? From the earliest times, somebody had to get a message to somebody else, right? They would have to know three things or prove three things. One, the message was from the person who sent it. Two, it had not been tampered with. And three, the recipient was who it was meant to be. And that is, in essence, what email is about. And by training us all over it was probably 2 decades before the web started going crazy, it prepared us all for that digital reality, that there is a place where you can find something. That thing is likely to be true and have provenance.
And can I just say, just thinking about somebody always had to get a message delivered, I love thinking about like DMARC as the modern version of like an ancient seal.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And by the way, DMARC is only a small part of the process, okay? You have to have a from address that is not only valid. I mean, think of how many things need you to have an actual email address to get. especially anything transactional, anything to do with government. You know what I mean? It's in essence your identity. So DMARC is just in the transmission process. Does that make sense? It's perhaps validating that identity or anything else, or it's saying this is the person I must deliver it to, but it's not really core to why email is important. Messaging is fundamental to humanity. Does that make sense? Right?
And it's the reason I'm employed.
Yes.
So thank you, email.
Absolutely.
Good rescue.
Seeing as we are violently in agreement that email is a good thing, let's talk about why even more email is a good thing. So I kind of joked about it in your intro, but you are famous for your mantra of send more email. And I feel like I've been hearing it for about 20 years, ever since I first met you at the DMA Email Council, which was quite an experience. But, you know, as a mantra or a principle, it does directly challenge the prevailing conventional wisdom of sending fewer, higher quality, more targeted messages. So can you set your stall out for us and explain why you think this tactic's effective and why it works?
Let's put it in another framework. Okay. Let's say we had another industry, the TV advertising industry. Okay. Now, the biggest thing that constrains in the TV advertising industry is cost. Right. And because the costs are high, all the money everybody makes in the process is high. Can you imagine going to having a whole entity around, I won't name names, but deliverability entities around the idea of stopping people doing more commercials on TV, right? It's just ludicrous as an idea in any other channel. Okay. So we're sitting down and we're saying, you know something, this works. Okay. We love it. We're all impassioned. We've got great products that we want to sell. Okay. And advertise. The conference would be do more. It would be how you send more. It's how do you overcome viewer fatigue, right? And the answers are the same in TV as they are in email. So my question is, what is it that's so unique about email? I'm going to challenge you. What is it that's so unique about email that it requires to be treated differently from any other means of communication we have from a business to a customer? What is it about email that makes it so unique that it works in a retro way, right? What works everywhere else doesn't work in email. Explain that to me.
If I could mark TV commercials as spam or YouTube ads as spam and not have them, I would. So I feel like there's an element of control that comes with being the owner of your own domain mailbox, so to speak, right? There's an additional element of control that simply doesn't exist in the same way as other mediums and other marketing channels, where often you're just bombarded without, sure, you can say not interested on Instagram
thank you.
or whatever.
Smack it out the park, right? So the only one where you can stop it, right, is the only one that sits down and beats itself up. Okay. The others don't. So I'll just start with that. Okay. Now I'm going to take the second part of it, which is if you could mark TV advertising as spam, you would, right? No, you wouldn't. Every one of us has the ability to not get by paying the free YouTube, which has ads, and we choose to do it. We have tolerated search becoming something that was an amazing thing to something that's completely useless, right? We've not said a single word, okay? When Gmail, and this didn't happen when we last spoke, when the Salesforce mistake, right, caused a downstream deliverability problem for everybody, Gmail found itself for the first time in living memory, okay, in a place where it had to decide whether to block all emails or let all of them into the inbox, right? It had that choice because its algorithms were totally overwhelmed by the noise that was out there downstream of the Salesforce event. What did they do? For 5.5 hours, which was prime time Europe on a Saturday, everything went into the inbox. The promo tab disappeared. Everything went into the inbox. There was hardly a peep from anybody. No one said a word. So I'm going to put it back to you and say, what is it that's so special? And the final piece, and for me, this is the smack it out the park piece. Are we talking about legal or illegal mailers?
I think in this case, legal.
I don't work for illegal people, right? Illegal people do the right thing because they know it's right. They don't have expertise. They do. They have experts, and the experts probably sound like me because they know it works. Spam wouldn't exist if it didn't work.
That is for sure. We have a whole episode on that way back in the archives.
The people I'm talking to, there's only one way you can be in the inbox. That's you opted in, right? But focusing on this, the only way you're in the inbox is legitimately and legally and lawfully, okay? And until someone unsubscribes, right, there is no reason why you shouldn't max out on that thing. And the final thing I learned is that frequency is not a driver of unsubscription, nor is it necessarily a driver of going into the spam folder. Okay, inconsistency is the issue. So getting in there is all that matters.
For sure. Now, there are, of course, we all know about deliverability. There are rules, ideals, right? That are kind of espoused when we talk about senders that want to increase their volume, right? Send more, get more eyes on the emails. And senders can make mistakes when they're upping their email, right? There are some simple ones. In your experience, Dela, what are the most common mistakes that brands can make when they're trying to adopt a send more philosophy?
My view is you shouldn't be in a place where send more is really an issue and it only becomes incremental. Okay. And the reason for that is inbox providers, consistency above everything in how they view stuff. Inconsistency is what they don't like, right? And the algorithm is trained to spot inconsistency. That's my view. And it will trump over and above, if you like, the brand reputation. Okay. So say you are Walmart or Tesco. They know who you are. They know what's going on. Does that make sense? They know how you behave. But they also know that it is technically feasible for you to be spoofed or spammed or someone to break into the account and start doing something. So if something inconsistent happens, they have to start. The algorithm has to respond, right? So if your intention is to send a lot of emails, don't go from 1 a month to 3 a day in one go. That's not just inconsistent. It's what I call hashtag DBS. Don't be stupid, right? I've changed it to hashtag do be smart. So if you're going to do something like that, do be smart, okay? Don't just go from 1 a week or 1 a month to some crazy number. If you go back to the idea of what deliverability advice is, the other thing it does is it puts more pressure on the people who are already mailing a lot, right? Everyone mails their actives a lot. I know folks whose inactive file, as in 90 days plus not opened, only mail them maybe 1 or 2 times a month, possibly once a quarter, right? With a big splurge in Q4. That's what they do. But their actives, which means they just bought or just purchased or just opened or just clicked, are getting 3, 4, 5 a week. So when you say stop mailing your actives because you're going into the spam folder, your inactives because you're going in the spam folder, what everyone then does, and mail your actives more, the very people whose signal is really important, you start giving 1 plus 3 or 1 plus 4 or 1 plus 5 emails. And these are the very people who are going into the inbox. There's only one action they can take is to put you in the spam folder, right? Whereas if you didn't stop mailing your inactives, the only thing they can do is put you in the inbox. So paradoxically, the interpretation of the advice is actually wrong, in my view. It's not so much that you should mail your inactives. You shouldn't have inactives. What inactives means is mail your unmailed, but you shouldn't have unmailed. You got double opt-in. They said they wanted your product. They said, and you've put all over the place. Gmail puts it everywhere. Here's how you unsubscribe. It's the only channel you can unsubscribe from. It's the only channel you can unsubscribe from. Okay? And yet the advice is start mailing them if they don't do one thing, which is open or click in X number of days, which is completely arbitrary. We haven't even thought about that properly.
It is a paradox. I think Danielle and I did an episode a few months ago, which was provocatively titled, "You Show Me Your Spam Folder and I'll Show You Mine." And I think one of the conclusions we came to was similar to yours, especially with our Gmail test accounts. The stuff which we signed up for years ago, never engage, and it's still reliably going into the promotions tab, very little spam folder placement. So, I wouldn't say we disagree with you entirely on that one, that's for sure. I want to come back to something you've touched on a couple of times. We're talking acquisition strategies, we're talking use of confirmed opt-in, and you haven't always been supportive of that as a permissioning mechanism, but it sounds like you're definitely more in favor of it right now. So why the change in thinking?
I think it's just the technology's got better, right? It's as simple as that. Back in the day, when this was being touted, Gmail wasn't that good, right, at analyzing stuff. They used much broader brushstrokes, and it was nothing. It was far less tailored to the individual's behavior, and that has changed. And signals are to an algorithm. Signals are everything, which is a segue into something we'll talk about later, which is frequency, right? Which is more than sending more email. It's about frequency. And consumers' feelings, I know we always say consumers are fed up with email, but what they were experiencing 10, 15 years ago is nothing compared to now in terms of the volume or indeed the curation in their inbox or anything else. So I think that's really what pushed the change.
It's so true. I work with mostly American companies, and we don't have a lot of confirmed opt-in happening amongst at least the senders that I work with based in the US, which is whatever. It is what it is, right? Canada, it's a little bit different. We see that much more commonly with confirmed opt-in because of Castle versus CanSpam, but whatever. In the absence of confirmed opt-in, there are other elements within email, protocols within email that help really establish brand recognition and brand trust. I'm talking about BIMI, namely, which is the logo, of course, and the VMC that go with it and all of that. Apple Business Connect now, Apple Branded Mail. I have a question for you about brand recognition. When you compare having the logo, the BIMI logo, the VMC, versus a consistent, strong, friendly from name, that is the display name that subscribers actually see of who the message came from, which do you think is a stronger approach to brand recognition, BIMI or friendly from? Or do they work together?
You see, to me, this is infrastructure, right? BIMI is infrastructure that you either have to pay for or adopt, or somehow you have to pay for it, right? I'm only interested in infrastructure, not from a particular aspect of it, but from a systemic thing, okay? And things like BIMI and the from address, they become systemic because of recognition, okay? Every single piece of research says out there, the first thing people look at is the from address, who it's from, okay? Now, there's a reason why brands spend billions of dollars on brand recognition. I mean, there's a reason why almost anyone in the world can play that logo game, right? You know the one? You just look at it and they show you a fraction of a logo and you guess what the logo is. I mean, almost everybody can play that game, and brands are global, and there's reasons why that is the case. So it seems to me that if the infrastructure exists to put that in there alongside the from name and all of that sort of stuff, why wouldn't you do that? It's also something that's very, very difficult to prove unless you do a proper test. And most people don't. They'll take a sample of X, Y, and Z and send it. They typically send their most engaged subscribers. They don't look at unengaged and how they respond versus engaged and all that sort of stuff. But if you were truly to test it, you'd have to do it with BIMI and everything else and a different from address, like to everybody for a month or two, and then change it and see what happens, and then change it again. And what you'll see is every time you change it, you get a bit of a thing and it'll tend back towards normal because your overall brand recognition is what really matters.
In addition to replies, and I think Danielle and I are both in agreement on that one. We've been talking about it in recent sessions. That almost the flip side of that, of course, is unsubscribes, and even the best email programs generate them. I think, sometimes it's almost easy for email marketers to get a bit offended about them. It's some kind of clear-cut signal along the lines of, okay, you've had enough of us, off you go. But the reality is probably more nuanced, isn't it? And, so let's try and dig into, why do email subscribers arrive at this decision? And what does it say about their relationship with the sender when they do?
Can I just say my own perspective, what it means about my relationship? Because I work in this industry, I view my unsubscribes as an act of kindness. I'm opting out, very polite, and then it won't take much more emails from that same sender if they don't process unsubscribes quickly for me to mark that message as spam. So to me, it lets you know that, like, thank you very much. A little bit done here. Frankly, I probably signed up for this to test somebody's program, and now I'm done.
Unsubscribes are a good thing. So it's the only channel that allows you to unsubscribe. And when anyone unsubscribes, we get upset about it. I love them. And I love them because of what they tell you. And what they tell you isn't just that someone didn't like you. And you're immediately focusing as if this is personal, right? How many brands is anything personal for? If anyone sits down and cries because Coca-Cola changed their commercial, they're an idiot. They're not a customer.
Something's gone wrong. Yeah.
So anyone who thinks emotionally about unsubscribing for an email, to me, that's like someone who emotionally thinks about what signal they're giving the advertiser when they walk out of the room when the commercial is on to make a cup of tea, right? There should be zero emotional attachment to that decision. None at all. It's simple. You gave me an option to opt out. I'm going to opt out. And the other thing about it is unsubscribes are actually a really small event. They're generally really small. If they go up by a huge amount, you're in trouble. You did something stupid. It's not like your content suddenly upset people and your unsubscribe rate went to 3%. No, that's never going to happen, right? But it is directional. If it's creeping up, it tells you something. If it's creeping down, it tells you something. So you have to look at it in that sense and not look at it and say, snapshot, oh my God, the world's going to end, right? Now, unsubscribes, when you look at them, are quite interesting. Some of your best customers unsubscribe all the time. Do you know why? Because they buy all the time. They don't need your email. They buy every day. So your best Amazon subscriber, for example, or customer, for example, might unsubscribe to emails every time they get put on, right? And after a while, and because a lot of brands immediately say, if you buy, you're back on the list. The second category is, if you like, your people who haven't opened for a long time, right? So open to unsubscribe rates is something I look at. If you haven't opened, so I'm looking at, if someone hasn't opened for a long time, all the people who open for the first time after 1 year, a significant chunk of them unsubscribe immediately. That tells you you've got a problem, right? Because open to unsubscribe rate is typically very low and it bumps along. But you might find that some of your older people are unsubscribing at an unprecedented rate. So what you do with your unsubscribes is you track your unsubscribe to open rate, right? Track that. Another wrinkle is, as we move into more AI, you start looking at unsubscribes from people who open every email. So if every email is opened, that's more likely AI or MPP. Does that make sense? So it's more likely to be a machine group unsubscribe. But if people open occasionally and don't open occasionally or whatever it is, then that might be more of a human unsubscribe. Again, that will tell you something different. A machine unsubscribe is one thing, a human unsubscribe is another. So you look at the individuals and the numbers are so low. And I think this is it. The numbers of unsubscribes are so low that it's about the only thing that it's worth looking at on a subscriber level basis, who they are, right? With everyone else, we put them into cohorts.
I completely agree. And I think you've written a lot about, like, the difference between unsubscribe and unconsent, and how there's like a difference in what that means. And I think that really aligns closely with what you were talking about with those subscribers or those people who buy all the time, but they don't necessarily need your email and what like that discrepancy in brand expectation is. But I do want to talk about kind of the broader landscape right now. We kind of kicked the conversation off with this. Mailboxes are changing rapidly. There have been big recent updates like the promotions tab now being sorted by relevancy, right? So, i.e., engagement by default. I've seen some feedback on that from the subscribers' POV, which mixed bag, a little bit of a mixed bag, followed, of course, by the integration of Gemini into Gmail. So, I've been seeing like, how do I change this back? Like, how do I get back to my mailbox? But I'm bad for this kind of thing because truly in my own, I have, 20 mailboxes or whatever for testing, for looking, for monitoring the different things. But my own personal mailbox, I don't have tabs on. Sorry, everybody. I like the old, I don't want anything to change. I just can't take it. I can't take any more change out of in the industry within my own mailbox. But I want to kind of take the context of all of these changes, the Gemini stuff, the relevancy sorting, and take it back to what we talked about at the beginning. Does this challenge your send more email philosophy, or does it reinforce that philosophy?
Every change that Gmail makes, a large number of people never adopt it, okay? Or the adoption is really, really slow. A good is like 40, 50%. Gmail has always been curating your emails. It says, I'm going to put spam here. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to make the experience easier, okay? And part of that is this belief of cognitive overload, right? They think that human beings don't want this stuff. Now, what I think is engineers don't like that, right? Database people don't like that. So this stuff was built for people who are not like my mom 20 years ago or me 20 years ago. Do you get what I mean? Or I'm unusual as well, simply because I'm in the business, right? So I'm talking about people for whom life is something they do every day and digital is only a part-time thing. It only comes in and out. So care workers or nurses or construction workers or whatever it is, people who are rarely online. Their experience is very different and there's more of it. I get the curation thing. Okay, I get it. And I joked about how inbox 0, you must be kidding. I'm inbox 100,000. I would never have deleted any email I ever got.
Stresses me out.
I know. But that doesn't bother me at all. And that's because of search, right? Now, curation is different from search. I don't even like putting myself in promo tab curation, spam folder curation. It just gives me 2 folders that I have to sort through. I will only stay signed up to the things I can curate. And that allows serendipity, right? Just luck. Oh my God, I didn't know I wanted this. I just bought it. And the other thing is, I think the part of your brain that filters is as important as the part of your brain that, say, for the sake of argument, is able to read maps. Google Maps has made, we've lost that bit of our brain. We don't seem to care. Does that make sense? I care about this bit of my brain because I think it's integral to the way I think. So we're back to, let's jump to the world where every inbox is AI curated. I've thought about that a lot. You'd never go in your inbox. If you trusted your AI, you'd never go in your inbox. If you never went in your inbox, what's the point of a spam folder? Because AI must read everything. So AI is going to read every single inbox, in which case, why is Gmail wasting their time putting things into different folders for their own AI to resort and take out of the inbox and put in out of the spam folder and put it in the inbox? That doesn't make sense to me. So first of all, you're not in the inbox, you cannot be seen. You will not be mentioned. So therefore, permission is absolutely important, right? How you get the permission, that's a different issue. Consumers may sign up to absolutely anything because it means nothing to them, right? It means absolutely nothing to them. Curation, no pay. So you have your AI now coming up with a summary. And so everyone's saying, oh, like the summary is going to be relevance and blah, 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 and all of that sort of stuff. Now, I know the way LLMs work. They work on signals and signal density. So if you're sending one email a day and someone's sending one email a month, what do you think it's going to know more about? AI is not going, oh, I wish I would only read one every 2 days because I'm so tired
Your
of this.
AI voice is killing me, Dela.
I know, because we act as if it's really smart and then we act as if it's really dumb, right? It can't be both. So AI is going to like come to this conclusion. So it's going to read everything. So now it's going to summarize. What I'm saying is we're actually going to have to write more like humans, not less. Okay. And we're going to have to find a way of scaling that to everyone sending every day. Because and by the way, in theory, we could get to a place where everyone's sending every hour because no one's going to care.
Oh, God.
No, but you won't see it. Why are you upset about something that you will never see?
Because I'm going to have to report on it.
Anyway, listen, we promised it was going to be contentious and perhaps even a little controversial today. I think we've delivered, but we also need to wrap up because we are at the top of our recording slot. So, Dela, I'm going to start just by saying thanks so much for a wonderful conversation today. And I think everyone in the email space is probably going to be more informed for listening to it. For any of our listeners that are interested in connecting with you or learning more about your work, what's the best way for them to reach out?
First of all, thank you very much for having me. I've enjoyed it. It's been a great interaction. I've had great fun. So thank you for that. The easiest way to find me is on LinkedIn. I encourage people to book free calls with me because I just enjoy this, right? So if you come up to me with a problem, I will deal with it. If I can deal with it in an hour, I will. That's as simple as that. And I will enjoy doing it. So what I'm saying is not only find me on LinkedIn, I do have my own website, delaquist.com, but the best way is just message me on LinkedIn and don't be afraid to do so because I think we'll both learn like I have today. So thank you both very much.
I love it.
Awesome. So I think as we wrap up the episode, to our audience, be sure to tune in again 2 weeks' time. Hit subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. Don't forget to visit senderscore.org for loads more great resources to help you become stronger senders.
Yeah. Don't forget to like and share. Like and share.
And Guy and I are always super proud of the guests that join us on Email After Hours, definitely, and especially today. But we're also looking for new guests to feature all the time. So if you'd like to join us on an upcoming episode, drop us a comment, ping us on LinkedIn, or fill out the guest form that is linked in the show notes. Thank you so much for listening, everybody, and we'll see you in 2 weeks' time.
Be sure to tune in next time and hit subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. And don't forget to visit senderscore.com for loads more great resources to help you become a stronger sender.
To all you sleepless senders out there, thank you for joining us after hours and see you next time.